Five Nights at Freddy's 10th anniversary has come and gone, and even though my contributions were, interesting is probably the best word I can use, Scott himself released many gifts that can be appreciated. However, there is one that is falling into quite the mixed reaction due to its unpolished state, being 5 Laps at Freddy's. Needless to say, this game has some jank to it, and although I was expecting it from the start, labeling it as a demo instead of an alpha was not the best move. But this video isn't here to drag the game through the dirt. Enough people are already doing that. I actually enjoy the game, and although there are issues to fix with pits, invincibility frames, and yada yada, there is a framework here that when you get into a pattern can feel really good. But even more important than that, this game has lore. Lore that I nearly perfectly called in this video, which means no maid dress for me, and I'm pretty sure that means almost 7,000 of you owe me a subscription. But while you all subscribe, I'd like to tell y'all what we have in this alpha build and what it could mean for the future full release for this title. And since I haven't missed yet, you might want to stick around so that I could tell you what to expect for this ambitiously buggy title. But before that, I wanted to take my shilling time and instead use it to defend this game. Without a doubt, FLaF came out swinging with a couple of bugs, and with this being marketed as the demo to the game, there is a reasonable outrage throughout fans at the moment, when this definitely should have been marketed as an alpha with the state it is in. And yes, there are many valid criticisms, such as the recovery needs work. A map would be very helpful. There needs to be more animations in the characters. And what the f*** is that Bonnie design? But in the same boat, I see people dissing on things like the drift mechanics, which is just a straight up skill issue. Cause if I can hit these turns perfectly in a satisfying manner, then it does what it's supposed to when you know how to play the game. And sometimes people can't admit when it's user error, especially when it's easy to lump it in with the game errors. But I think this game has a lot of potential and just needs a bit more time to cook, because what we do have is a foundation to what could be a solid kart racer that comes with a unique style to it and beautiful set pieces, perfectly segueing us into the point of this video. As one of the first things people were quick to point out when trailers and early screenshots started emerging was the fact one of our karts answered a burning question throughout the fandom, being the identity of this Cheeto Man. As at the time, people were hesitant to label them as our purple guy because of, well, non-purple coloring, and without having that foundation of who the character was, it led to so many strands, making Midnight Motorist the hardest game to come to a conclusion on in Pizzeria Simulator. So now, here we have our Midnight Motor Car, decked out with an antenna, topped with a spring Bonnie head, giving us clarity on who this character is, leading us to now be able to properly speculate on who all these players are. And if that's not enough, the maps themselves hold many secrets within them, brought to life through a day and night cycle. This again being shown best through none other than the Midnight Motorist map, where we can see my theory shine through, where during the day shift, we get to make our way through familiar locales brought to life in a more realistic setting, only for the night shift to set in and show us the original 8-bit minigame equivalents to the area, except for one key change. The rain is now blood. Because this minigame happened later that night. This track takes place during the day of Charlie's death, and it is putting together the pieces for us to solve the other pieces it doesn't show, such as Junior's being its own location. As in Fazbear Hills, we see a Freddy's location. So then when we see Junior's being shown in Midnight Motorist, it doesn't reflect as a Fazbear location. It's still just Junior's, showing that Junior's wasn't Scott saving assets in FNAF 6, but was labeling this as another location. Now leaving us with the questions of solving the unmarked grave, or the animatronic footprint standing outside the broken window. Which, just throwing out my 2 cents, I believe these could be the prints of the Golden Freddy suit, as we know its tendency to teleport, explaining why they don't lead anywhere. But getting back on track, It is also important to note the night shift seems to take place on the flip side, sharing many similar style choices to the Vanny mask in Ruin, where when the night shift occurs, we see a distorted lens of all of our locations, such as all our audience members wearing the mask of FNAF 3's Happiest Day minigame during the night shift, or just the purple glitched out theming throughout the maps. Not to mention the wolf-like animatronic that chases us down, who shares similarities to the Mexus program from Ruin, leading into what I believe we can expect going into the full release of this game. Being that these maps will clear up some of the misconceptions we've had about the series throughout its 10-year run, with the maps having the ability to show the real settings of these 8-bit minigames. We will now be able to look past the pixels to get a better understanding of the tragedies that took place, just like we got here in Midnight Motorist. So, seeing the maps we have already, I wouldn't be surprised if we get at least one map tied to each game in the series, with a range of light-hearted maps from Pirate's Cove and the Prize Counter, to the more dark and twisted versions of maps such as Happiest Day, or even the Red Lake, all using environmental details to shed light on the different aspects of the game we may still have questions about. But if you think that's all this game will do, you're dead wrong. Because where everyone else has written off the glitches they've encountered as this game just being bugged, I've been studying them to see what I could find out, and in doing so, I've made a discovery that might have shown the full hand this game will be playing with. That's right, I'm using the glitches to solve FLaF. But how so? Well, there are quite a few common glitches that occur with a lot being in the sinkhole, such as clipping or the magnetism working on all walls. Which, real quick, Click Team, why is it the car that you made magnetic instead of the track section itself? That'd probably clean up some of the bugs the magnet causes. Which, I mean, I don't know, I don't make games, but that just sounds like a solid solution. Anyways, glitches like these aren't where my focus is drawn, but instead, I'm more concerned about the fatal error glitches. Every so often, you'll be driving and all of a sudden, wham, you fly off somewhere. Sometimes you fly into infinity and sometimes the game just crashes. No biggie. However, if you choose Springtrap, the Midnight Motor Car, and play on the Midnight Motorist, occasionally during random instances on the bridge, Afton gets shot off and the fatal error pops up. But in this instance, it also appears with the text "Wake Up" at the top with the graphic below it telling us to shake our joystick. Now, before I go into crazy territory, I do want to say this could totally just be an in-progress recovery function that's causing the game to crash, as even though this glitch came easily to Springtrap, after forcing myself onto the track for a long period of time, I was finally able to get the "Wake Up" text with Freddy in the cup cart. But what if this could be a mechanic that crashes the game because it was taken out for the demo? As in, the only instance where I have been able to consistently get this wake up screen has been when I matched the 3 selections, being again, Springtrap, the Midnight Motor, and Midnight Motorist. As even though I got it with Freddy, it wasn't anywhere near as consistent as with Springtrap. So what if, in picking the correct trio, you are sent into this game's true secrets? And this is where the crazy comes in, because based on complete speculation of a bug that occurs in this demo, I'd like to argue that we aren't seeing the full range of mechanics we'll be dealing with in this racing title, as I believe whatever this wake-up function could be, if it's not tied to a recovery type in the game, it could be connected to glimpses of the real world that could either shine light on parts of the story the map or original minigame hasn't already told us, or it might lead into this game's possible secret title underneath, being a classic sit and survive styled FNAF game, almost like how Pizzeria Simulator that had similar teaser art tricked us into believing the game was nothing more than a surface level tycoon game. So, what if, in a similar vein, in Waking Up, we are introduced to the location where this agony-infested game lies? Perhaps the same location that this Halloween teaser takes place, and in pairing the correct character, carts, and location, it will unlock more real-world levels, and upon completion of all these levels, a number of things could happen. Whether it be in correctly putting all these events together, finally freeze the agony from these games, leading into the new monsters we'll meet during the next 10 years of this game series, or seeing how hard it is for this series to let go of our victims, we see the agony grow into a new monster, something corrupted past what the agony was. Or maybe we'll watch as whoever the true player is becomes another soul to be added to the collective of these agony games, giving us context on how this merging occurs. But whatever happens with the full version of this game, there is one thing I can state as a fact, and that's for every question this game solves, 5 more questions will come to fill the slot, in classic FNAF fashion. So wow, you made it to the end of my video. That must make you one good-looking individual. And I can always appreciate a good-looking individual, so thank you. But for real, I love this game. It does have its issues in its demo, but I can see the vision they are going for, and I can't say I've had the same fun in other racers perfecting my runs than I've had in this title. So I do hope the public opinion lightens up on this game, especially coming around the time of a full release, seeing that it fixes its issues, because the last thing I'd want for this game is for it to end up seen as another FNAF World. Especially since FNAF World is goated and nobody should hate it anyways, when this game just has so much more potential. But with that, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this title. I'd like to know what tracks you think might get added into the full release, or even the characters or cards. My comments are always open and I'm always stalking them, so trust me, I'll read them. Anyways, I'm gonna end the video before I sound too creepy, so thank you for watching and I'll see you all next time.